Someone came to me and I entertained it, so I opened the door and they walked through it. I think that selling a company it's not just a financial transaction, it's an emotional transformation. I probably would have made more money. I would have saved some stress, probably a lot of sleepless nights too. So I love what you guys are doing, and I wish that Exitwise would have existed, in this form, this Exited Founder program in this form when I sold.
Welcome to the Exited Founder podcast. Today, my guest is Shannon Wilburn. Shannon founded Just Between Friends, a pop-up consignment marketplace for children's and maternity goods that grew into a national franchise system. After receiving multiple offers from private equity, Shannon sold her business to her largest franchisor. She was choosing buyer fit and brand longevity over ultimate purchase price. Because of Shannon's status within the franchising industry, as well as her personal relationships with her industry's buyer network, Shannon decided to join us at Exitwise as an exited founder to help her fellow franchise business owners prepare their companies for sale and help maximize the sale of every business. I hope you enjoy my conversation with Shannon Wilburn. Shannon, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited first that you are joining us as an exited founder. I think what I'm also really excited about is with about 15 minutes of you joining us, we found a company that wants to sell that needs your expertise, right? And we haven't even released a podcast. We haven't marketed. It's just perfect timing.
That worked in my favor.
Oh my gosh. And what I'm really excited for the client. They have no idea the value that they are getting. So thank you for being part of the whole solution for everyone.
Yes. Well, thank you for asking me. I really am very excited. I've already had calls with team members and really just it's fun getting to sit in this seat and hear about what this founder has grown, and it just makes me very, very excited for them and also for me.
Yeah, and for you, like whenever I talk to you about the value that you bring, you're just naturally self-deprecating, and now you're getting to see like how much value you are bringing this guy. Like he's almost lost without you. That's an exaggeration, but you're going to be so valuable already from the beginning. We can see it. So let's describe, what made you start your company, and take me through like that moment from the first time in your living room, right, to building up a very sizable franchise organization.
Yeah. So there was just a need in the market for what I built. So the concept that I built and then successfully exited is called Just Between Friends, and it's a franchise brand. And we started it in my living room, myself and a co-founder, and we grew it locally in Oklahoma for 6 years. And then we started franchising it. And the need, it's basically a marketplace for families to buy and sell gently used children's and maternity clothes, toys, and baby equipment. And you wouldn't think that the world needed this, but the world needed this. So it absolutely filled a need. And 2025, I think the company is going to do $60 million in system-wide sales. This is of gently used children's and maternity clothes, toys, and baby equipment. So we're talking an average item value of $5. That's a lot of gently used items.
How many states are you in today?
They were in 33 when I sold, and now they're in 34. So or 35. I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah.
34 or 35 now.
But kind of same sort of sales are continuing to grow.
Yeah, totally.
The buyer's really happy. You obviously knew the buyer, so we'll get into that.
Yes.
But they're excited about the transaction.
And I am excited to watch. It's very fun as a founder to be able to watch something that you grew for 20 years. It's in someone else's hand now, and it is just continuing to thrive. So that's been really fun.
So that leads right into what was the decision? What was the impetus to sell the business in the first place? Yeah.
Well, I think when founders start in their business, I think an uneducated founder, I would say, is what I was. I didn't think strategically at all about exiting. And now I tell the people that I coach, I'm like, you need to think about your exit when you start. So I didn't really start thinking about exiting until we started franchising. And I can remember thinking, okay, I'm going to grow this. This is the plan. We're going to go nationwide. We might be international. How will I exit? And that was the first time. It was probably 2004 where I'm like, okay, what's the end game here? Am I going to work until I die? Probably not. And, but I did work 20 years. And I think that, I don't even know the stats on how long founders stay in their business, but it felt like it was the right time. Internally, with my family, my husband went through some serious health issues, and it changed how much time I wanted to spend in my company. And I had already been being approached by private equity, by our largest competitor. And when our largest franchisee came to me and said, hey, I might want to, if you ever think about selling, I might want to buy this. And I had not entertained PE because I didn't think I was ready to sell. But when she came to me and said I might be interested, it was the right person.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that our core values were aligned. And I also knew if I sold to her, I was not going to get the valuation that I wanted. I was not going to get, I was not going to recoup probably what I could with private equity, but it also felt good. And I think that's a really personal decision. And I may be going down a rabbit hole. I will just stop.
Well, okay. So no, it's perfect because the value that you're going to bring to another founder of not just deciding when to sell, right? There are moments, health is usually a big one, or burnout is another, inbound offers, right? Private equity knocking on the door. But your ability to talk about fit and how important that is, potentially over price. It might seem like that at the beginning when you're making that decision, but how important that is that your legacy continues. You still talk about this business as it was part of you, as a big part of your life.
I know. I had a coach tell me, Shannon, you have to stop saying we.
Yeah.
I am still
no,
on the
you don't.
But Shannon,
no, you don't.
Stop
no,
saying
you don't.
Todd, I have a dear friend who grew a brand to 500 million in system-wide sales, and he sold to private equity. And it's been really, in his case, he thought he was doing the due diligence ahead of time. But unfortunately, his company that he started is now, in a significant decline. And it's heartbreaking for him. It's heartbreaking for the franchisees that were involved in the business. And listen,
horrible.
It's a big decision. And did he exit with some nice cash? Yes. But, that's one of the things that you have to weigh is like you have to search internally.
So it leads me to think about when you're selling your company and you develop this buyer list, the investment bankers are going to say, okay, this is this pool and this is this pool, all the usual suspects. Shannon, not only do you have the experience of selling a business and understanding the difference between selling to a franchisee versus selling to private equity, your active involvement in the International Franchise Association gives you so much visibility and knowledge of who's out there, who's buying companies, who would be the right fit for a client interested in selling a business. And, we constantly have clients say, hey, the legacy of what I built, the brand of what I built, I want to see that live on. And the example that, you gave, private equity steps in, they might drop a big check at the beginning, but then they're levering up these companies and they can't service the debt. And then all of these people's livelihoods are impacted when that doesn't work, right? That's just a significant risk. So I think part of the value that you are going to bring to not only the transaction that you're overseeing now, but all the other future founders that you can mentor is finding that buyer fit through personal relationships and just like insider knowledge.
Yeah.
Your M&A team just doesn't have that insight. So I'm really excited about that.
And I'm thrilled that you brought that up because, when you guys reached out to me and asked if I would consider being an exited founder, my immediate reaction was, I don't know enough. But then I started thinking, but I know a lot of people and I have so many connections and I know who you should stay away from.
Mm-hmm.
And I know who you should, use. And in fact, I did a reel last week on my Instagram about making connections. And could I figure out a way for my title to be people connector or CEO of connections? Because that's what 20 years in the space does. And if
Yep.
you're actively involved and actively engaged, you know the big players, you know the small players. And if you don't know them, someone you know knows them. And you've got their cell phone number. You can pick up the phone and say, hey, tell me about this, which is
Yep.
100% what I did when you guys asked me to be on this deal.
Yep.
Is I picked up the phone and said, okay, tell me this, tell me this, tell me this. And we were able to put a team together.
Yeah. The value is so obviously more than that you're connected with everybody. To me, is that you understand the industry. Everybody sees you as this person that had a fantastic transaction, built a fantastic company.
Yeah.
And so now they're coming to you for
Right.
coaching. Now, we're asking you specifically around M&A, but it's one thing to have a list of people that know you. It's another where you can say, if we need a real offer from this particular group, I need to make a phone call because they trust Shannon Wilburn.
Yep.
Right. And it's not like you're working magic, right? Obviously, these buyers have to be very interested.
But it is also about reputation. It
completely
is about reputation.
When you call, the phone gets picked up. And I know that like it's half the battle is getting a buyer's attention. They're looking at 100 different opportunities that they could be buying. And when somebody has the operational experience and the relationship to tell them this one should be at the top of the stack, it's invaluable. And bankers, attorneys, accountants, they're not going to do that for you. They're absolutely necessary in M&A, but this new exited founder role, you are like born for. So I'm really, really excited. Can you talk about in your exit, you made the decision to go for fit. And then can you talk about that negotiation, maybe any of the representation that you had? How did you come to that final kind of financial and professional agreement?
Yeah, I did not hire an investment banker. Probably not the best decision, but I did in 2016, I had put together an advisory team for my company. And that piece of, that strategic decision to put an advisory team together was hugely transformational for me as a leader and for the future, being able to have an exit. But I had 5 advisors on my advisory board. And honestly, it's the who's who of the franchising industry. I'm like, how did this happen? Why did they say yes to me?
Yep.
And all but one of them had tons of M&A experience.
Yep.
And so I had, I could pick up the phone and call them. And believe me, I did. Every single one of them, like, okay, hey, this is where we are. What do I do? What do I say? And they told me, they gave me great strategy, great ideas on terms. And they were my team.
Yep.
And I love that I'm going to be able to be that person for someone else. Because then I also, if I have a question, I can still go. I'm still on the board with them.
Yep.
So when I sold, I now get a seat next to them. And they are amazing, amazing individuals.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shannon, it's not something that we recommend to clients to not have an M&A team.
I know, and I don't recommend it either.
Yeah. But what I will say is great people love to help great people. And it's clear your superpower is that network, asking for help, assembling all the experts. And now you get to transfer that to other people going where their superpower may not be that, right?
Right.
And give that to somebody that's thinking about selling their business.
Yeah.
All right. So you get through the transaction with that help. And then could talk a little bit post-transaction, right? Because this was a known entity to you. What did that kind of transfer period look like?
Absolutely. I can tell you what we did. So the buyer, the new CEO, she asked me to stay on for a few hours a week for 3 years. And so that 3 years is ending next month. And it's been so fun to be able to sit beside the new CEO and kind of, I look at myself kind of like the historian. And, I told her, if you ever hear me say, this is like, we tried that and it didn't work, I said, you have permission to slap me. because she's a wonderful leader in and of herself. So that's what we did. So we signed a 3-year agreement and just a few hours a week. And so for the last 3 years, I've attended conference. I've sat on the board. I have gone to our monthly community calls. I get to sit in on staff meetings. And so, but I'm not in the day to day. I know what's going on. I know the growth the company has had. I know the numbers that the franchisees are seeing now, and it's amazing. But I have not had to be in the day-to-day work. And I will say it was probably, I met with the CEO probably twice a week for probably 3 months. And then we meet once a week now. And many times we only have, 20 or 30 minutes worth of stuff that we need to talk about. And sometimes it's just a catch-up call, but it has been really fun to kind of do that while I started something else. Yeah.
Well, tell me about the something else then.
Yeah. So I really took probably about 7 or 8 months completely off from doing something else, except for helping in the Just Between Friends seat as a exited founder. And I started an executive coaching business. And there's a whole story around why I started it. But now I get to sit in the seat next to founders and help them with scalability, help them just, I think being in the founder seat is lonely. And so many people don't have a network, especially in franchising. It is just, especially if you're new in the space, it's hard to you feel intimidated by people, even though it's a super friendly industry. It's like, okay, I have an audit this week. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Or my franchisee is suing me. What am I going to do? And so I really sit on the roller coaster of the seat right next to them when they are on that roller coaster of franchising. And so it's been very fun helping them scale.
Yeah. I mean, every time I hear the kind of operational insight that you're getting, because you have a front row seat, to your industry, and you're helping these founders traverse really like complicated problems.
Yep.
This is all fresh, and you're going to add so much value to somebody at the end of this journey. Can you talk a little bit about what you see changing in the franchise world that wasn't happening, 5 years ago?
Yeah. I will say pre-COVID, there were some brands that were doing what is called their platforming. So it's a platform company. So there's a large entity in franchising. Maybe they have over 100 units. And by the way, only 16% of brands have over 100 units. And so let's say a founder gets a brand to over 100 units, and then they are like, hey, I have a great leadership team. I have an amazing attorney. We have time. We can now go and buy another brand. And so they bolt on brands, usually in the same sector, like health and wellness. There's several platform companies, home services. There's several platform companies in our industry. There's a brand called Neighborly. They were kind of the first to do this years ago. And then a lot of people have kind of copied their playbook in bolting on these other brands. And so then you might have the shared services. So all the leadership team works on the brand as a whole. And then each brand has a president, and each brand has a marketer, but they don't need a full-time attorney. They don't need a full-time HR person. And so the shared services, they get to leverage high-level leadership for the brands that helps them grow. And so that's one thing that has just like magnified after COVID. It's like there are so many platform companies now, which is awesome for smaller brands when they go to exit, because there's lots of buyers that are in the franchising space. We're not even talking about strategics that are outside of franchising, but these are absolutely, they're franchising strategic, and they're strategic usually because it's in an industry. There's another one called Propelled Brands. There's another one called Unleashed. That's all children's services. So I would say that is a big thing that has been happening. Another thing is AI. I'm excited about how hard and fast AI is coming into our space, because it is also giving smaller brands a lot more access to information, access to the assistants that are, you can get them for a third of the price of what you would get for hiring a true person. And they're doing stuff in the background and just making these emerging brands so much more efficient. So those are the two things that I can think of that are really what's happening in our industry today that I felt like would be noteworthy.
Oh my gosh. That felt like more than two things. That's like pretty deep insight. Can you, in M&A, what we're going to see next year is industry agnostic. Smaller companies that have developed AI solutions within their industries are going to get bought by some of these platforms that you're talking about. We're going to see 26s. The nimbleness of the smaller company has the ability to kind of figure out how to make AI really work, whether it's cost cutting or revenue generating or whatever.
Well,
And the bigger,
I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the larger brands,
Yeah.
We're one of them.
Yep.
We already have our support systems in place, and
Yep.
they are not with AI.
Yes, exactly.
Legacy technology companies, and these technology companies, they're doing their best to try to, be nimble. But once it's already established, a newer company can come in and go, okay, well, I can do that faster. I can do it smarter. I can go to market. I can do exactly what you need for a tenth of the price.
Yep. So we definitely see that, right? The smaller companies that have AI solutions are going to be the darlings of 2026.
Yeah.
What do you think about some of these smaller franchises that, don't necessarily innovate with technology? Are there going to be buyers for them?
No.
They're really okay. So this is like the advice, right? That people really need to understand.
Yeah.
Where is the market going?
Mm-hmm.
And what I love to I talk to investment bankers a lot, and they tend to see in their industry where the market's going to be and call it 9 to 18 months. I think an exited founder really can think about, okay, the market might be going there, but what's the strategy to build the most value if we know where the puck is going?
Yeah.
I think it's a definitely a different lens, and you certainly have that. Shannon,
I will just say that on that topic of AI,
please.
If I was an investor, if you were an investor, would you buy someone who wasn't innovating?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm saying yes, but yes, I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get surpassed, right? And it could be a rude awakening and very, very quick. Maybe could we shift over to, you've joined the platform.
Yes.
And, I've asked you, why are you excited to be on the Exitwise platform as an exited founder, helping your fellow founders sell their businesses?
Yep. I really believe that founders deserve a guide who has actually lived the journey. And I give kudos to you guys, because you have had the forethought to come up with this concept of exited founder. And I feel like you truly understand both the emotional and strategic sides of exiting a business, because you guys have done that. And I don't really feel like we're just helping you with the transaction. I think we're going to be helping each other with just emotional support, clarity, education, preparation. We've mentioned connection. And I really wish that I had something like this. It was great to have my advisory board, but I'm thinking about my board, and none of them were founders.
Yeah.
So it would have made, I probably would have made more money. I would have saved some stress, probably a lot of sleepless nights too. So I love what you guys are doing, and I wish that Exitwise would have existed, in this form, this exited founder program in this form when I sold.
I really appreciate you saying that. And what I'll touch on is because Brian and I have done this, been the exited founder almost inadvertently, right? Because when a client comes in and we get them the best M&A team, we follow along and we ask, how can we be helpful? And then you're stepping in because of your understanding of how businesses run, where the value in these businesses really are, the things that are detracting from those values, and what a buyer should be really looking at outside of financial metrics to add real value on the other side. And then being that emotional coach that whole time, I get personally a lot out of that. That's what I go home and talk to my wife about over the dinner table, is somebody that I was able to calm down to help them make really rational decisions, because it is an emotional roller coaster. And so you've been through it, you know it. Now you can share that. So for us, it was a very easy jump to say, how do we get people that are better than us at this? And when it comes to the franchising world, there's nobody better than Shannon Wilburn. So we are we're very fired up to have you.
Well, I'm excited to be on the journey with you.
So let me ask one other question.
Yeah.
What do you think surprised you most in going through your M&A transaction that might kind of translate well to helping others?
I think, I know we've mentioned it, but that emotional transformation, probably because I wasn't like, I want to sell. Let me go find a buyer. I didn't go to market. Someone came to me and I entertained it, so I opened the door and they walked through it. And so I think that selling a company it's not just a financial transaction. It's an emotional transformation. And so
you're not alone in that answer.
Yeah. I feel like, I could go down a rabbit hole of the emotions that I went through. It was exciting. It was fun. It was scary. It was just all of that. And, my poor husband had to hear all of that.
Yep.
This could have absolutely saved him from, me crying on the couch, like putting my head on his shoulder. But I think this program is absolutely going to be so transformational for just the education and the support. It's a big transition.
Yep. Yeah. Couldn't be better said.
Yeah.
Look, again, super excited to have you on the team. I cannot believe you're jumped into your first deal. It is a big one, and you're going to be hugely helpful. I know even the investment banker is all excited to have you on this team.
That was very kind of him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a good person. So.
Yes. Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for the time. This has been great. And I'm very much looking forward to keep working together.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of the Exited Founder Podcast. For business owners who are looking to sell or want to ensure they're exit ready, our team is here to help you maximize your outcome. So connect with us at exitwise.com today.